Okay, so as we're talking about angles, okay, let's remind ourselves what an angle is. An angle is made up of two rays that share a common endpoint. Okay, called a vertex. Okay, so an angle is made up of two rays that share a common endpoint, and we call that endpoint a vertex. Okay, as you see the picture here on the left, the B, that would be your vertex. Okay, so when you're naming an angle, okay, the angle above can be named in several ways. Angle ABC, okay, angle CBA, the opposite, okay, angle B and angle 1. It says, notice that the vertex label must be the middle or only letter used in the name of an angle. Okay, in other words, when they reverse letters ABC and CBA, all right, the B is still in the center. Okay, you also notice that angle B obviously is being named by the vertex. So the vertex is very important. It must fall in a certain order, okay, in the angle's name itself. All right, now, all right, so when we talk about angles, we measure angles with a protractor. Okay, we've talked about protractors before, but the protractor will give us the degree of an angle. Okay, for example, just happen to have one here. If I was to measure this angle here, okay, we'd measure that angle, put it right there, make sure I'm lined up there, and it's approximately 130 degrees. Okay, so this angle right here, the opening of the two rays, is 130 degrees. Okay, we would call that an obtuse angle because it is larger than 90 degrees. Let's remember that a 90-degree angle is going to look something like that, and it'll have most of the time have the little box in the corner of the angle, meaning 90 degrees. So anything anything to the left side would be obtuse. Anything to the right side would be acute. Okay, if the angle is like this, then obviously to the right would be obtuse, and to the left would be acute. Okay, we talk about a straight angle. A straight angle is just simply a straight line. A straight angle, obviously a straight angle is a straight line. In that straight line, you have 180 degrees. Okay, so if I take and I intersect that straight line like so, then that forms two angles that must also equal 180 degrees. Okay, so those are the different types of angles, what an angle is, how we name an angle. Okay, now let's look at some actual other definitions. First of all, is complementary. Okay, two angles are complementary if the sum of their measures is 90 degrees. Okay, if two angles, in other words, let's say I do this. Let's say I take this angle that's 90 degrees, and I intersect it with another angle, with another line, that forms two angles. Those two angles together, angle 1 plus angle 2, must equal 90 degrees because that's a 90-degree angle. Now, I don't know what they are, but given one of them, I can find the other one. In other words, if I told you that angle 1, if I said angle 1 is equal to 20 degrees, okay, and we want to know then what angle 2 is equal to. Well, if angle 1 is 20 degrees, what is angle 2 equal to? 70 degrees, okay? That would have to be 70 degrees because I'd take 90 minus 20 and get the 70. Okay? And that's what happens when you have two angles that are complementary, they equal 90 degrees. If two angles are, so these are complementary. Now, understand that the two angles don't have to be connected. In other words, I could draw an angle that looks like this and call it angle 1, and then I could have an angle that looks like this, an angle 2, and say that they're complementary. Okay, they don't have to be connected together. Okay, a lot of times they will be, but they don't have to be. Okay, so the next one is supplementary. Supplementary, two angles are supplementary if their sum of their measures is 180 degrees. Okay, C comes before S. That's how I always remember 90 degrees and 180 degrees. Okay, the smaller one comes first, the larger one comes second, C before S. Okay, because you can get those words, those two mixed up. Now, in a supplementary, what you're usually going to find is something like we just drew a while ago, where we have the straight line, and then we have a line that intersects it, like so, and that gives us two different angles, angle 1 and angle 2. Okay, but we already know, because it's a straight line, that the total angle, okay, angle 1 plus angle 2 must equal 180 degrees because it's a straight line. Okay, obviously angle 2 is an obtuse angle. Okay, it's an obtuse angle, and angle 1 is an acute angle. Now, if I throw the protractor down there, try to measure them, sometimes I do this and it moves my screen a bunch, but hopefully it won't. And it looks like it's going to be moving this, quit moving on my screen here. Put my fingers on it, it's not real easy to move. Looks like it's going to be 130 degrees. Okay, so if angle 2 is 130 degrees, then what does angle 1 have to be? What? 50 degrees. Okay, now, where a lot of people make their mistakes is on this particular type of problem, they'll think 130 degrees, and for some reason they'll go 190 instead of 180. Okay, and so they'll go, oh, okay, well that's 60. Okay, no, it equals supplementary equals 180 degrees. Okay, not 190 degrees. There's 90 degrees and there's 180 degrees. Okay, so that's what a supplementary angle is. Supplementary angle is two angles that when you add them up together, they're going to equal 180 degrees. Now, let's look at, I think that's it. Let's look at classifying angles. Okay, let's look at classifying angles. If we look at number 7 through 10, okay, very simplistic. They just simply want you to write whether it's acute, obtuse, straight, whatever it is, okay. So number 7 would be what? Straight. Just straight angle. What would number 8 be? Acute. Understand that angles can be obviously any way. They can be like that. They could be, okay? They can go any direction. They can be sitting any way. So just because they're sitting a certain way doesn't make them a certain angle. What makes them their angle is how big is that space between the two rays. Okay? That's the whole point. All right? So what's number 9? Right. What's number 10? Obtuse. Okay? So obtuse are usually the easier ones, and usually when they give you an acute one, it's not going to be like an 89-degree acute angle, so it doesn't look like a right angle. Okay? But that's how you classify them. Okay? Look at number 11. Okay? Number 11 says, tell whether it's, tell whether the angles are complementary, supplementary, or neither, and explain your reasoning. Okay? Well, number 11, is it complementary, supplementary, or neither? Supplementary. Why? Because when you add them up, it equals 180 degrees. Okay? So not real difficult there either. Now shift down to number 14. 14 is a little bit different. 14, they give you 19 degrees. Okay? And you got to have your degree sign on there for it to be correct. Okay, so don't just put 19. 14, they basically want you to list the other angle measurement if the first angle and the second angle are complementary and supplementary. So in other words, if this is a complementary angle, then what would the other angle have to be? Complementary meaning 90 degrees, so what would the other angle have to be if our first angle is 19 degrees? What? 71. That is correct. So the second angle would be 71 for it to be complementary. For it to be a supplementary angle, what would it be? And this is where a lot of times you'll just add 100 to it for some reason and say 171, but it's obviously not 171. Huh? 161, yeah. 161 degrees. Okay? Now, if you look at number 19, number 19 says they have a 162-degree angle, and they want to know the complementary. What would the complementary angle be to 162?
Negative.
No, you can't have a negative angle. So, not possible. Yep. And then you have supplementary. Supplementary would be what? 18 degrees. Okay? So, fairly simplistic. Okay? All right. So I'm going to turn you loose on your homework because there's a lot of it. Not actually a lot, but you have 10.1, 1 through 32. 10.1, 1 through 32. Yeah, I'll let you break into groups. No more than 4. Get started because you got a lot of time left. You can hopefully get it done.